Welcome to the Uzziah Show, where being young, black, and successful is celebrated. I am your host, Uzziah, your success strategist. And if you have any questions about your business, career, or finances, then this is the show for you. Welcome. I'm so excited to have y'all on tonight. Thanks for spending Friday with me. And tonight we're going to talk about, should black men buy a home? This is going to be a very important topic, y'all. So if you're just joining, welcome. Make sure to put your name and your city in the comments below so I can give y'all a big shout out. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm excited to have y'all on here tonight, man. We're not going to be on here all night, but we are going to talk about a very important topic. So for those of you guys that are joining me for the very first time, my name is Uzziah, and in 2013, I paid off over $95,000 in student loans 2 years after graduating from Baylor University. And since that time, I've become a real estate investor, best-selling author, and entrepreneur. But the reason I created this show was to help you guys get to the next level. So thank you once again for joining. We're going to celebrate your success on this channel. We're going to promote other businesses, because this is all about our community leveling up. And I want you guys to get on camera, as always, to vibe with me. Okay. So y'all know, as with every episode, I always strive and try my hardest to give y'all as much free game as possible. It kind of gets ridiculous sometimes how much free game I be giving y'all, to be honest, with everything that I'll give away, especially if y'all checked out last night's episode, man. Some of this stuff is just, I strive to set a standard to where you get better value from me for free than what you would pay to get from somebody else. And if you've watched the shows, you know it's all facts. All right. So for those of y'all that are just now joining, welcome. As I said, tonight's topic is, should black men buy a home? We're going to talk about home ownership. And before we get started, I ask y'all for 3 things at the beginning of every episode. Number 1, no bad energy. Please, y'all, no bad energy. Let's keep things respectful. Let's keep things positive. Let's make sure that we have a good representation. Y'all know the world already expects us to be ratchet. They already expect us to not know how to act. And we need to make sure that this is a place of black excellence. This is the reason why I mentioned this first before getting started with everything else. This is a positive black male media forum, and I really just want to help y'all win. And so, as always, y'all, let's keep it healthy and let's keep it positive. Number 2, keep the engagement flowing. Y'all know I love these talks to be a conversation. I don't like to just get on here and just talk to myself. I love the commentary. So if you just now join, welcome. Make sure you leave your name. Make sure you leave what city you're coming from so I could give you a big shout out as you join. Y'all know when you come in, the house rules is to smash that like button. This will tell the YouTube algorithm to push this show out to more people. Y'all know it is very important that this message gets out to as many of us as possible. Okay. So I need your help in smashing that like button so that way we can spread the word. So while we got folks just joining, I want to give a quick shout out to Yasha Allah that's in the house. I want to give a quick shout out to Ariel tuning in from Austin, Texas. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I'm really excited for tonight's show. Make sure y'all, if you want to see this channel grow, you subscribe to the channel, because once we reach 10,000 subs, that's when the Black Men's Career clothing line is going on YouTube. That's right. The hoodies, the shirts, might even be a little bit more. Who knows? But just make sure that you subscribe. And once we reach 10,000 subscribers, that's when this clothing line will be available for you. Okay. And y'all know, once you've liked, once you subscribed, what keeps the show going? Super chats, super chats, super chats. Your donations are the only way that this show stays afloat. Y'all know I do this show from Sunday through Friday live at 7 p.m. Central. So with me giving y'all all of this free content 6 days a week, all I ask is that you support the channel as much as you can, y'all. I'm giving back to y'all. Y'all give something back. This lets YouTube know to keep the show on air. To super chat, all that you do is hit the dollar icon directly below the live chat box, and that will allow you to give a donation at any amount. This goes a very, very long way. I want us to create a culture where we invest in each other and we support each other. So when we have these episodes, this shows the world that we are investing in Black-owned businesses. Y'all know we do not have many businesses that are putting it together quite like this. This is the only platform where you get positive Black media that focuses on spiritual, financial, and communal improvement. And if we do not invest in positive Black male media, then nobody else will. So please make sure that you donate by giving a super chat. And if you are watching this show once the live broadcast is over, don't worry, you can still support by donating through Cash App or PayPal. You can donate via Cash App, $ Black Men's Career. You could also go to PayPal. The links are in the description below. You can also see all of my donation info across the screen. So make sure that y'all support. And I want to give a big shout out to Yasha Allah for setting the tone for the super chat, as always, with the $20 super chat. Love you, brother. Happy Friday to you. I'm definitely looking forward to your thoughts on tonight's talk. Let's go ahead and hop into this thing, man. If y'all want to see your businesses promoted on my channel for free, please send me an email at uzziah@blackmenscareer.com. As many of you know that have watched the show before, I promote other businesses on this platform all for free. So if you want to generate more leads and you want to start generating more sales for your business, send me your website, the details about your business, and how people can contact you by emailing me at uzziah@blackmenscareer.com. All right. So with no further ado, guys, let's get into the topic. Should Black men buy a home? You know, I was really excited about this topic because as I was asking the question on social media, everybody said yes. But I really wonder, is the answer that obvious? Is the answer that obvious that Black men should buy a home? We're going to find out in tonight's show, y'all. So make sure that you get comfortable. We're going to bring this Friday night in the right way, y'all. Y'all know Saturdays are the only days that I take off. It's my day of rest. I get right with the Lord, rest, recharge, and recover. But up until nighttime, for me here in Austin, we are going to do this show. So, one thing that I want to say off the rip is Black people have a unique way of viewing the concept of buying homes because we're deprived of ownership. It almost seems like it's that much more important for us to buy a home because we don't have the same level of ownership in this country as other communities. And I want to start this off by sharing with y'all a really interesting article. I kind of want to look at this article just so y'all understand the importance of ownership. Now, this article says that Black home ownership, the Black home ownership rate hits the lowest level since the 1960s. That's unlikely to change in pandemic year 2. All right. So this article comes from Market Watch, Fair Use. It outlines how right now we are hitting an all-time low in modern history in terms of home ownership. It says there has never been a time in America's history where a majority of Black Americans were homeowners. So we've always been at a loss in terms of owning homes. In the second quarter of 2019, the Black home ownership rate dropped to 40%, down 7 percentage points from roughly a decade earlier. It now hovers closer to 44%, while the white ownership rate is far higher at approximately 74%. The Black home ownership is a significant drop in recent years. The rate rose from 41.9% in 1995 to 49.4% in 2004, an increase of 7.5 percentage points. For more than 100 years, a racial home ownership gap ranging between 20 to 30 percentage points has existed between Black and white Americans. So, y'all, definitely a lot of information on this topic. I think that for some reason, y'all might not have been able to see that entire article. I'm going to try to share it again, just in case y'all could see it a little bit better this time. Y'all bear with me, y'all. I'm going to read it again just real quick. Black home ownership rate hits lowest level since the 1960s. That's unlikely to change in pandemic year 2. All right. So just make sure that y'all check out this article on Market Watch. I gave y'all some of the background before. This shows the unique disparity that we are up against as a people. And the reason why I'm starting off with this article is because when we ask the question of if Black men should buy a home, the answer comes a resounding yes, in part because of how many of us don't have it. I want us in tonight's show, however, to kind of make an educated guess about whether or not we should engage in home ownership. I know we always tend to think about the upsides, but tonight I'm actually going to outline the benefits of owning a home, the benefits of renting a home, and the signs of knowing which option you should choose. I'm going to show you in tonight's broadcast that owning a home is not self-evident when it comes to building wealth. I believe there is a certain way that we ought to do it, and I'm going to show you how. A lot of y'all have already been told that buying a home is the sign of the American dream, and on some level, I believe that that's a myth. But let's talk about the benefits of home ownership, because I'm not saying not to get one. I'm saying before you get one, count the cost. Understand what your options are so that way you can make the best decision. Now, obviously, y'all, the benefit of owning a home is just literally that. You own a piece of property. You know, a lot of people talk about how whenever you're renting a place to stay, the money is gone forever. When you buy a piece of property, you're paying on a mortgage in pursuit to home ownership, right? This is something that you will own for the long term. So your money is going somewhere. Now, home ownership kind of has an interesting way of helping to give you maximum savings. And the reason I say that is because the average person does not have 3 to 6 months worth of emergency savings, as I always encourage. However, if you buy a home, you can maximize your savings by building equity. See, even if you don't have liquid money in a bank account, by you having a home, it gives you the opportunity to increase your savings over time as you pay down on the principal. So you take out a mortgage, and over time, there's going to be a difference between how much you owe versus how much the home is actually worth. This leads me to the next point. Typically, homes appreciate in value. The price of home ownership usually goes up. And while there's no guarantee that the cost of every home is going to go up in value, statistically, there is usually a pretty good chance that home ownership is on the rise. So for those of y'all that checked out some of my recent shows, I talked about how to invest in real estate. And I talked about how real estate investing is one of the best investment strategies in the world because 90% of all millionaires own real estate. The reason why so many millionaires own real estate is because from 1991 onward, homes have had an average appreciation of 4% every year. Every year since 1991, the values of homes have gone up. So, for the most part, it's a pretty sure bet. So, when you think about what having a home will do for your net worth, it will definitely raise it. It is definitely better for your net worth to have a home than to not have one. And we're going to look at a little bit more data very soon. Now, another reason why people tend to buy homes is because they get tax benefits. So if you thought about investing in a rental property, if you sell that property, you're going to get taxed differently because of what's called capital gains. However, if you sell your home where you reside, you're going to get more tax benefits because this is one of the ways that you can have an advantage. It is known commonly throughout society that home ownership is a key to wealth. We've been excluded out of communities for this very reason. Like when y'all think about redlining, when y'all think about the infamous "there goes the neighborhood," all of this stems around the fact that home ownership is a key to wealth. So when you own a home, you're going to get certain tax benefits along with tax deductions on your mortgage interest, along with other things, including what you pay on your property taxes. These are all taxable benefits things that can reduce your taxable income so that way you keep your money. Okay. Let me check these comments real quick. Make sure that y'all are still vibing with me. Welcome if y'all just joined. Make sure that you smash the like button. Tonight we're talking about, should black men buy a home? As always, please donate and support this platform so that we can keep the show going. Now, as I said, there are certain tax benefits that comes from owning a home, but another financial win behind home ownership is paying on a property at a fixed rate per month. So if you buy a home and you get a conventional fixed rate mortgage, you'll be able to pay the same amount every single month. This is different than if you were renting a home where the landlord can change the rent cost at any time, right? So one of the benefits to owning a home is just kind of keeping down on all of the changes in the housing market. Once you've got the mortgage, you've got things locked in at a fixed rate, and then you'll be good to go. I always recommend that if you buy a home, you take the route of a conventional fixed rate mortgage, because a lot of people went under during the 2008 housing crisis because the banks were giving out homes to people that couldn't afford it. And by using, all of these different adjustable rate mortgages, the prices and the interest and everything else changed. You don't want to do that whenever you're buying a home. Okay. But one of the things that helps to make you more money over time, even considering that you have a fixed housing payment, is that you'll be able to put your money in other places. So if you get into a property and say the mortgage is $800, by you locking that amount in for the next 10, 20, 30 years, you'll be able to take whatever excess amount of money that you would have otherwise paid in an increased rent fee, and you'll be able to put it towards your savings, your investments, or other avenues that could help you build wealth long term. Okay, I'm just giving you guys all of the upsides right now towards home ownership. Another thing that really helps homeowners is it boosts your net worth. I always talk about net worth as a sign of wealth on this channel. Your net worth determines how much you own minus how much you owe. It is assets minus liabilities. So on a balance sheet, technically speaking, you're going to have your home listed as an asset, and whatever the market value is for that home is going to go under that asset category. How much you owe on the mortgage is going to go in the liability section. But one thing that's important to note is that the median net worth for homeowners since 2016 was $231,000. The median net worth of a renter was $5,000. So that's an incredible difference. It's important to know that typically people that own homes on average are wealthier than people that rent. But we're going to talk about all of that on tonight's show. I really want to lay all of the cards out on the table so that you can make the best decision. As you can see, just by looking at the numbers, home ownership is a strong lever of wealth. Now, obviously, when you own a home, you can do to it what you want. Okay, whatever it is that you want to do to change the house, you can change it. If you want to change the flooring, if you want to change the colors, if you want to add a room, the world is yours. But if you're renting, you obviously don't have that same luxury. You may also have more privacy and peace of mind in owning a home, because say that you're renting out of an apartment building, you could have all types of ratchet people around you, people cussing, people fighting, all types of hood drama. All of that could be happening right next door, in the floor below the floor above. Y'all know how it goes, right? So by you having a home, there are certain benefits. However, there are benefits to renting also. A lot of y'all tend to overlook the benefits of renting. Now we're going to look at the other side of the coin. When you rent a property, you're not responsible for any maintenance costs or repairs. This is one of the largest expenses that people tend to overlook. Being a homeowner is very expensive because when something breaks, you cover it. But when you're renting a property, you don't worry about that at all. The landlord takes care of it and you're good to go. When I bought this real estate investment property, I had to replace the AC unit. The cost of the AC unit was $12,000. For me to install brand new AC units, HVAC systems in both units of my property, it cost me $12,000 in cash. So don't think that, oh, well, just because I've bought the home, I'm not paying for nothing else. No, you've got yourself into the mortgage, but any repairs, any breaks, any renovations, any fixtures, that additional cost is all on you, and it adds up. Trust me. You never know how many breaks and repairs you're going to need every year. And every year for me, guaranteed, I'm having to shell out emergency money that I didn't expect to part ways with on renovations, repairs, and upgrades for my property. Let me check these comments real quick. Let me see if y'all feel like talking to me yet. Where are the comments, man? I know it's Friday. Y'all probably running around. Y'all getting comfortable. Can y'all talk to me on this topic? I see that you're on. Talk to me. What are your thoughts on whether or not you should buy a home? Do you think that you should buy a home? Do you think that you should rent? What is your personal preference? I want to get y'all's commentary. And as always, please make sure that y'all donate in Super Chat, y'all. Let's keep the support going. When we talk about the benefits of renting, not only do you not have to worry about any maintenance costs, another thing that you never pay for as a renter is property taxes. I will tell y'all, in Austin, property taxes are very high. Very, 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 very high. Even if I had this property paid off completely, the property taxes is a bill in itself. When you are a renter, you don't have to worry about that. See, we always tend to think about the upside. Oh, I'm about to own a property, but we don't think about all of the cost that goes into it. Not only are you going to be paying the mortgage, you're going to be paying that mortgage. You're going to be paying the property taxes. You're going to be paying on insurance. All of these things add up. Whereas when you rent a property, all you are paying is the cost of rent. You also want to remember that whenever you're renting a property, you're not putting up any down payment. Typically whenever people buy homes, they're putting thousands of dollars down. It's a sizable investment. But when you rent a home, there's no down payment. At most, you're paying a security deposit that you're going to get back at the end of the lease. So these are all cost savings that you want to consider before you decide whether or not you want to go one way or another. Okay. So, one thing that also factors in, especially like when we're talking about these down payments, is PMI, private mortgage insurance. If you saw some of my previous videos about how to buy your first rental property, I talked about how if you pay like 20 to 25% down payment, whether it's a owner occupied investment property or not, you'll be able to avoid private mortgage insurance. Private mortgage insurance is an additional $100 fee per month or higher that the bank charges because they cannot trust whether or not you will make good on this mortgage. If you don't put up at least 20 to 25% towards the down payment, you're going to get hit with a PMI. So again, even if you're making a down payment of, say, 5%, that's still going to be a lot more than what you would have put towards a rental property, renting out a place for you to stay. And on top of that, you're also going to have to pay a PMI on top of your down payment when you buy a home. These are all costs that add up in a major way. I'm going to tell y'all something right now. And this is just one of my honest predictions about building wealth at an early stage. I firmly believe that I had a strong wealth advantage over a lot of my peers whenever I invested in a real estate property rather than just buying a home. A lot of guys that I know that bought homes didn't realize how expensive it was, how often breaks came. They might have missed out on certain other benefits that would have either come by the way of either renting or buying an investment property. And I've reaped the benefits of having a rental investment over time. I did not take out a mortgage unless somebody was paying me to stay in the property. Okay. I, up until the point of getting this property, was renting out myself. I have never done a traditional home ownership. Now, may that change in the future? Sure. But that was not my first option that I pursued in terms of building wealth, because I understood that I would end up losing money before I ended up getting it back. You always want to think about opportunity cost. You always want to think about, okay, if I just rush into buying a home right after college, is this the best place where my money can go? Whenever you're buying anything, y'all, and I'm not discrediting homeowners, because again, it's still a key to wealth. I went over that data just a few minutes ago. You always want to consider opportunity cost. You always want to consider, if I put my money towards this thing, could I have made more money if I put it towards this other thing instead? Okay. And one of those factors that you want to consider is down payment. Now, just from a lifestyle perspective, the reason why renting sometimes has benefits is if you are looking for flexibility in your location. When you buy a home, you get anchored down somewhere. And another thing that's good about just kind of having more mobility when you're renting is that you can stay in a more expensive location as a renter than you ever could have afforded as a homeowner. So, for example, let's say that you want to live in San Francisco. It's a hell of a lot easier to be able to swing a rental in San Francisco than it is to buy a home in that same location. You know, some of y'all, you might be trying to really live a luxurious lifestyle. You want to live, flashy. You want to be able to just live well. And the more that you travel through a major metropolitan city, the harder it's going to be for you to live somewhere nice as a homeowner, because it's going to be extremely expensive. You might be able to get away with renting a place in Miami, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, but buying a home there, I'm talking about in a nice location, you can forget about it. Unless you already come in, a million, couple million strong, it's already out of your league, but you still could swing it if you were renting. Another thing that you want to think about, especially like when we talk about your mobility, is a lot of y'all may not want to be tied down to one place for an extended period of time. Home ownership really doesn't make sense in terms of getting a return on your investment unless you plan on living there for at least a few years. I mean, if you don't plan on staying at this house for at least 5 years, 3 if you're really pushing it, then it just makes no sense to buy a home, because with the amount of money that you're going to put into a home, you're really limiting your ROI. People that get the most ROI on home ownership are people that stay there, for extended periods. So these are all factors that you want to consider. You want to consider, hey, what is my lifestyle? How likely am I to move? Am I looking for a place to hang my head for the next 15, 20 years? Or is there a possibility that I may want a big place now, but in a few years from now, I'm looking to downsize? Some of y'all are parents and you have children that are teenagers. Well, some of y'all are looking for a bigger property now because you have a bigger family. But once your children go off to college, you might actually want to scale back. And that's going to be harder to do if you own a home, because it's always easier to get out of a rental than it is to get out of a home. Okay. So if you're on a rental, maybe you just have a 1-year lease. But if you're on a home, that's yours. You stuck with it. And it is not always guaranteed that you will be able to sell immediately. It may take time. The offers that people are making may not be suited to what you would expect. These things happen every single day, y'all. So we cannot go into things immediately assuming, hey, buying a home is the way to go, because for some of y'all's specific situations, maybe it might make more sense for you to rent. Some of y'all might be in the military and, you're constantly moving. It may not be the best decision for you to buy. It may not be a better decision for you to rent. I'm just throwing these different options at you so that way you know that your options are at your disposal. Let me check these comments. Let me see if y'all been commenting. Let me see if there's any super chats. I'm so thankful for my sister Ariel for the $5 super chat to show this platform some support. Let's get these super chats up, y'all. I give y'all 2 hours of my time every night. Please donate. To give a super chat, just tap the dollar icon directly below the live chat box. You can also donate via Cash App by going to $Black Men's Career, all one word, or going to paypal.me/Black Men's Career. I want to post up something that Andrew Brown said. And real quick, shout out to my brother Juice. Happy to see you on, King. Okay. Andrew Brown said, if you buy a single family, it's not an asset like a multifamily, but at least you're parking your money and you will see it again if and when you sell. Now, even that is a maybe. There's a good chance, Andrew, that when you buy a property, you can see a return on your investment when you sell, because like I said, appreciation has typically gone up 4% year by year. It is not always guaranteed, however, because there have been fluctuations in the housing market. By and large, the point is clear. It is correct. When you're doing a single family, it's not an asset because nobody is paying you to live there. You're paying money to somebody else. You're paying money on the mortgage. You're paying money on the taxes. You're paying money on the maintenance. Typically, when you sell, you'll get an ROI, but that is only if you've seen good appreciation on the asset year after year, and you've stayed at that property long enough to get a return on your investment. The first few years when you're staying at a home, you're dumping money into it, and the return has not yet been realized. Y'all have to understand there are certain investments that take years for realization. Home ownership, years for realization. Business ownership, years of realization. You could set up a business today and you may not start really turning a profit until 5 years from now. So you got to understand how the game is played. And this is the reason why I'm telling y'all, if y'all don't see yourself planting your feet there for the next 5 or so years, you may want to strongly consider renting. Don't think about it as it's just lost money. Think about it as you have an opportunity to put your money in other places. And I'm going to break all of that down. A lot of y'all don't realize that the money that you save as a renter versus being a homeowner, the savings that you make from that every month, if you were to put that towards an investment, over time, you could walk away with more money from the investment vehicle if you're talking about the stocks or something similar versus had you put that money towards a mortgage. This is the reason why not all wealthy people own homes. There's a reason why even billionaires talk about renting where they live, because they understand that getting an ROI, especially getting the biggest return on your investment, the biggest bang for your buck, is not always guaranteed exclusively through home ownership. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. So I believe one of the things that we really need to focus on when we talk about the difference between renting and home ownership is insurance. Now, when you rent a property, you can pay renter's insurance. When you buy a property, you're paying homeowners insurance. Typically, the average cost of renter's insurance is $180 per year. Typically, when you buy a home, the cost of homeowners insurance is almost $1,300 per year. 180, 1,300, big difference. Again, this is what I was saying earlier about costs adding up. Do not presume that just because I'm a homeowner, I'm just getting all of this return on my investment. You need to make a wise investing decision. A lot of y'all don't know that even when you're renting a property, if you're doing it consciously, is an investment decision. When I was giving y'all the numbers before about the difference in net worth of a homeowner versus that of a renter, the numbers are skewed because when you are a homeowner, that already indicates that you own an asset. When you are a renter, not everybody that's among the renters has assets. Do y'all follow what I'm saying? What I'm saying is the numbers are thrown off on renters because anybody can rent. You can be poor and rent. You cannot, have money on a certain level and rent. But if you are a homeowner, maybe you do have higher levels of income. Maybe you do have better credit. Typically, the financial history of a homeowner is more solid on average than that of a renter, because the average renter is trying to get their money together enough to be able to buy a home. But the numbers are skewed in terms of an average, because you could be on the poverty line while renting, but there will also be millionaires that rent as well. So again, all things for you guys to factor and consider. Just because there is a disparity between the average wealth of the average homeowner versus that of a renter, it does not mean that you cannot use renting as an investment strategy. You can strategically rent a property with the intent to make a savings on what you would have put towards a home of comparable value, and you're taking the excess and putting it towards other investments that's actually making you more money over time. We're going to talk more about that on tonight's show. Okay. Another thing that you want to consider when we talk about rental costs, typically rentals come with lower utility costs. Think about this, y'all. Think about this. Think about this. Think about this. Typically, whenever you buy homes, right, they're typically larger in size than that of a rental. So whenever you buy a rental, you're likely to have a lower utility bill. I mean, even the way that most rental properties are structured are a lot more compact, and it's a lot more efficient in terms of a floor plan, helping you to save on costs. Typically, whenever homes are built, it's constructed in a way where you're going to pay more money towards utilities. You're going to have to pay on electric. You're going to have to pay on gas. Okay. Even when it comes to the water bill, if you're talking about a sprinkler system, the sprinkler system on my property alone will take my entire electric bill almost up to $300 a month. So these are all things that you want to factor in to your purchase decision. Now, one last thing, and this kind of goes back to what I was telling y'all earlier. I was telling y'all a little bit earlier about how you could actually swing a fancier spot off a rental that you could never afford as a homeowner. I'm going to double down on that statement right now, because one thing that y'all got to remember that a lot of rental properties offer is extra amenities. So you can, say, for example, rent a property, and, you know, they could have a gym on site. They could have a pool. They could have a kids area. They could have all these different things. But if you were to get all of that into a home, oh, you're paying buku money. If not in the cost of the home itself, definitely the HOA fees. And those HOA fees are going to hit you on a monthly basis. These are things that most people never factor in. Most people never factored this stuff in because they've never been taught it. Society has taught you that everybody should be a homeowner because they sold you on the American dream. You must consider that whenever you buy a home, the banks make money. Every time you decide, hey, I got to have the white picket fence, y'all. I got to be able to have the home. This means I made it. The banks are getting 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. It's keeping the system up, which is why they promote it. It's a lot more lucrative for the American system to promote home ownership than to discuss rental, because typically rentals are in the hands of an individual, whereas home ownership typically depends on large institutions, corporations, Bank of America, Okay. Major lenders. These are things that you just want to keep in mind. I'm trying to give you all the game, but I'm going to look at this comment section to see where we are. If y'all just join, we're talking about, should black men buy a home? I want y'all to think about this critically. Okay. Like I said, I'm not even posing this in terms of a yes or no on you should never buy a home. I'm just asking this question because I want y'all to give more thought to it than what we typically would do. Okay. It's not always a cut and dry answer. There's going to be different factors to determine whether or not it makes sense for you specifically to buy a home, because just because everybody else is getting a home, it don't mean that you should get a home. And on the flip side, just because everybody is renting, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't buy a home. You know, there are, if you watched my show on investing in real estate, one of the things that I told y'all is that there are going to be an influx of opportunities over the next 12 months because the moratoriums on evictions and foreclosures are now ending. Once these moratoriums are done and the government stops allowing people to stay in all these different properties for free, you're going to see people who had nice homes lose it because they can no longer afford it. Y'all know a lot of people lost their jobs and their businesses during the pandemic. And unfortunately for them, their home is going to go back to the bank. But fortunately for you, the bank is going to resell the property at a lower value. Y'all gotta keep in mind that the whole reason why housing prices were crazy this past year is because there was so little supply. There were historic lows in terms of inventory in the housing market, meaning there were fewer homes available for people to buy than ever. There was very low supply, but it was high demand. So you could have sold a home this year and made $1,000 beyond the asking price in select cities. But what I'm telling y'all is when this moratorium is done with and these homes go back on the market, there are millions of people that are going to be out of homes, which means there's going to be a lot more supply added to the housing market. When the supply is added to the housing market, you're going to see homes of really incredible value that may be sold at a bargain, because there's going to be a certain window of time where there's going to be all these homes on the market, not enough people to buy them, and that's going to lower the price because it's all about supply and demand. I'm not telling y'all that they're going to be giving homes away, but what I am saying is there's going to be a certain opportunity over the next 12 months to have access at owning properties at prices that you may never see again remotely at that price. I'm not talking about just adjusting for, inflation and appreciation from year to year. I'm saying that there will be certain properties that will get on the market on the next 12 months that even with appreciation and inflation, you're not going to see a price like that maybe ever again in a lifetime. Who knows? We can't predict what the markets are going to do, but the nature of this pandemic has been so unique to society that there could be once in a lifetime opportunities that come from this. So again, it's just something to keep your eye on. But even within this, because, my prayer is that this video, this lesson, this show is going to be up on YouTube for years. So the reason why I'm just giving y'all all this game in the way that I'm giving it is because the question of whether or not you should buy a home is very dependent upon the time in which we're living in versus what your personal circumstances are. You need to factor both of those things in. What are your personal circumstances and what is going on within the market? Those two variables will determine whether or not it makes sense for you to buy. Okay. Now, Yasha Allah left a comment, talk about lease to own with option to purchase. I will talk about that a little bit. I'm a add in a little bit more in terms of signs on whether or not you should buy a home, and that may do it right there. But if not, I'll talk on this piece a little bit more because a lot of times, people, even outside of homes, they get into lease to own purchases, and sometimes that becomes a little premature. So right now, I'm going to go over a few signs on whether or not you should buy a home. Okay, I'm going to give you all the signs, and this will help you know if it makes sense for you to own a home right now or should you continue to rent. The number one sign that you should rent is if you are still getting out of debt. If you are still strapped with all kinds of debt in all these different places, you don't have no business owning a home. I'm talking car notes, credit cards, student loans. Some of y'all got payday loans. There is no reason for you to go out and add a mortgage on top of your existing debt, because you're really just cementing yourself in poverty. Now, what do I mean when I say this, y'all? Okay, some of y'all, and I don't know what it is. Like, I do know what it is. It's the American dream. Marketers have programmed people so hard to feel like they just have to buy a home right now. You could get a home that looks just like the home that you want through a rental. You could rent a home. But there is something that's been programmed into our psyche so strong about buying a home that we will get it at all costs, even if it means we're going up to $500,000 in debt to do it. The reason I say 500,000 is because you may already have student loans in the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. You may already have, tens of thousands in credit card debt. You might already have tens of thousands in, your car debt. And so when you stack on your debt like this, how can you ever build wealth? The essence of building wealth is maximizing your assets while limiting your liabilities. Okay. You want to add as many assets to your balance sheet as possible. And the only time that you would even think to take out a debt is if you're going to get more asset from the venture than liability. I'll talk more about that. That's Patreon level. Y'all know I keep telling y'all the way that I don't be getting these super chats, I got to make a difference between what I put out here for free versus what I put on the Patreon. Y'all support this channel, man. If y'all want to see our community get this game for free, I need some of y'all to donate, man. I need some of y'all to donate to keep this show rolling. Shout out to the sponsors of the show. Please make sure that y'all tap that dollar icon directly below the live chat box to be able to donate. This is what keeps the content going. A lot of y'all know I already have a lot of different programs that I make money off of. I have books, courses, master classes, membership clubs. I'm doing this on the strength, but I need your support to keep this thing going. Now, when we talk about should you buy a home, are you still stuck knee deep in debt? I did not buy this investment property until I had already gotten rid of my student loans. And I was so happy that I did that. Why? Because I would have never imagined how much additional debt I was going to get into in getting this investment property. I thought that as soon as I put the down payment on the property, I was good to go. And it wasn't until I realized how much money it would cost to get this property to look the way that I want it that I said, man, it sure is good that I got out of all that other debt. Sure is good I paid off those credit cards. Sure is good that I, got rid of those student loans because I'm about to rack up debt all over again just on the renovations. And when those renovations came, paid it all off. Okay. But what I'm saying is some of y'all, you're going to make the mistake. You're going to get too gung ho. You're going to go ahead, get a house, act like you're doing something. And then because you've now stacked on debt on top of debt, you do not have enough cash flow at your disposal to be able to get out of it. And it will become a struggle just to maintain the monthly minimum payments on all your debts from month to month, which is designed to keep you poor. When you pay the monthly minimum towards a debt, it's meant for you to make the other person rich. It's meant for you to pay double towards that loan than what the asking price of it was when you got it in the first place. So just make sure that you're out of debt. The next thing that you really need to focus on is making sure that you have money saved up. Because again, y'all, I'm telling y'all, if I did not have any emergency savings in my bank account when I got my rental property, I would have been screwed. If you don't know what's going to break, you don't know when an appliance is going to break. You don't know how much it's going to cost to get something repaired. You don't know when an emergency is coming. How are you going to be able to cover it when it happens? You're not relying on the landlord anymore. It's all coming from you. So make sure, as always, that you have 3 to 6 months worth of emergency savings in place. Okay. You also want to make sure that you have the money to pay for this property. Okay. What do I mean when I say you have the money to pay for this property? You don't want to buy a house and go house poor. When some of y'all were on the show a couple days ago where I gave y'all my Black Men's Career Budget for free. If you hadn't seen that episode, check it out. It's about how to budget your money the right way. A lot of y'all will buy a house and up to 50% of all of your income has to go towards housing expenses. This will make you poor. There's a reason why there's a term, house poor. That's the reason why all these people was losing their houses, going bankrupt during the 2008 recession. If you try to bite off more than you can chew, it's going to backfire on you. So whenever you get a home, just make sure that the monthly housing expenses is less than 30% of your take-home pay. And like I told you all a little bit earlier, do you plan on staying at this home over the next few years if you plan on living there? The people that get the real ROI from properties are people that stay there for an extended period of time. Even in this rental investment property that I'm living at, where I live in one unit, I rent out the other, I only get an ROI because I've stayed here long enough to get it. If I would have just, bought this property and then sold it the very next day, I'm not getting any ROI unless I went through a strategic flip. So I'm telling you, I hear horror stories all the time. You get excited, you buy a home, you get this promotion at your job, and now you have to move. You end up eating all the costs of the home that you just bought, As soon as you do that, you end up buying a home. Maybe when you bought it, you were a single guy. Within a year's time, you married and, you want to start having kids. And then you want to go and get another home right after that. If you're going to buy a home, you need to make sure that you're staying there long enough in order to profit. If not, there is no guarantee that it is going to be a solid investment. So if you are still stuck in debt, you need to be renting. If you have no savings, you need to be renting. If you don't have any money to put towards the home, you need to be renting. If you don't, okay, if you're so desperate to buy a home that all of your money is going to go towards the home, you need to rent. Okay. I'm just giving this to some of y'all as a warning. Don't come on my channel 1 or 2 years later talking about, man, Uzziah, I should have listened. I was stubborn and, I wanted to get this home and I didn't realize how much home ownership costs. Why didn't you tell me, Uzziah, that home ownership is so expensive? I wish that somebody would have told me. I'm telling you now, it is expensive. Make sure that you do it the right way, y'all. Listen, I'm going to give y'all this link to Cam Up because I want to get your thoughts on this subject. Does it make sense for you to buy a home if you are loaded in debt? Listen, when this pandemic popped off, a lot of y'all couldn't get a home no way. There's all kinds of articles about how millennials were pushed out of the housing market when the pandemic hit. Because when the pandemic hit, you had banks like Chase saying you can't even qualify for a mortgage with them unless you have a 700 credit and you're willing to put down 20%. A lot of us were just pushed out of the housing market right there. But are we so desperate to buy a home that we will jeopardize our entire financial future to get it? I said this a little bit earlier, and I'm going to expound on this more. It is more expensive for you to own a home than it is to rent a property. The difference between renting and owning could go towards finances that you put in the stock market. I'm saying over the exact same period of time. There's been studies that have been done on this. Studies have shown the simulation of people that would rent for 30 years versus people that would buy for 30 years. And the people that rented for 30 years who were investing, the difference between how much they saved from renting versus buying, putting it in the stock market, they walked away with more money after 30 years than people that bought homes. That is on average. That's not in every case. That's not adjusted for every city. So don't try to troll because you're like, oh, but Uzziah, well, what about what happened in 2005? Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is if you come to find that there is a $500 difference that you incur when you're renting versus when you're getting a mortgage of a comparable value because you're now having to pay property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA fees, and all these other things. If you were to take that same 500 and had put it in the stock market over the same 30 years that you took out a loan for that mortgage, you may actually end up making more money through other investment vehicles than through the home. I'm not telling you this is going to happen for every person. I'm telling you to do your homework. Do your math before you make an investing decision. Do not automatically assume that just because you are a homeowner, now you're on the road to wealth. I've seen this time and time and time again, y'all. That is actually one of the easiest ways to get stuck exactly where you're at, because a lot of people's homes over time end up becoming a money pit. Now, let me start looking at these comments. Shout out to my brother Rodney Lawrence. Thank you for the $5 super chat. You know, I know this is not a popular discussion, and I'm not telling you, that I'm taking one side or another. In fact, let me tell you this. I started off buying an investment property after I rented a home, after I rented an apartment, and I got myself completely out of debt. Y'all want to know exactly how I did it? This is the blueprint right here. When I graduated from college, I did nothing but rent apartments, get out of my debt. Over time, I tried to find the most affordable apartments that I could and stayed there for as long as I could while getting out of debt. So that way I could have enough finances to put towards an investment property at a 20% down payment. Okay, I stayed now, and I want to be very clear about this for those of y'all that are wondering how I was able to build my net worth over time. When I graduated from college, I stayed in an apartment. When I was paying off my student loans, I eventually downgraded into even a lower apartment. I took the L up front. I stayed in a low cost apartment. I got out of debt. And I stacked dough until I got to 20% down payment on a real estate investment property in Austin. I put up the 20% to avoid the PMI. I lived in one unit while the tenant lived in the other. And the very next property that I look for will be my own home. But that's only because I got out of debt, got an investment property, and I'm only looking into getting a home right now because of what I already told you about the opportunities that are open specifically within this next 12-month window. In addition to the fact that I am making big predictions that where I move next, if successful, will be just as profitable to me in the long run as this property is in terms of appreciation. I'm taking a bet on the market value of the next place I stay. If it weren't for all of those things put together, I still would not be buying a home because it is not guaranteed to win. There's all these other investments that are popping off. Crypto, stocks, all these other things. You just want to make sure that whatever it is that you do, you make a sound decision. Yashala, you're on. I can't hear you. Let me unmute you real quick. Okay, I can hear you now. No, I can't. If you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself. I still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
You're good now. You're good now.
Okay. Shalom, big brother.
Good to see you.
You're right about buying a home. You got to make sure all your assets are in order first. That's the whole key point. And like you said, you're not telling anybody what to buy for themselves. At the end of the day, they have to feel comfortable with what they're going to buy. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. I would need a home because I used to breed dogs. So I can't do that in an apartment. You can't do that in a rental home a lot of times. If you got 10, 12 dogs, that's almost impossible.
Now, real quick, if I could, I don't mean to cut you off, sir, on that one. I like the fact that you said that because in your example, you're turning your home from an liability into an asset. The brother just said, I want y'all to pay attention to this. The brother just said in his case, he would have to get a home because he's turning it from a liability into an asset. Okay, that's very, very key because if you can turn the home into an asset, meaning you're turning it into a business vehicle where people are putting money into your pocket, then it actually gives you a better opportunity um, to be able to make money from that home. It actually raises the likelihood that you will get ROI. All right. Real quick, I just want to give a quick shout out to my brother Chevis that's in the house. Not the Sabbath yet, sir. Just want to be able to put that out there real quick. Don't want y'all to think that I'm over here cutting into my time. But yes, definitely looking forward to that within the next hour. Definitely glad that we're getting ready to enjoy a good night of rest. So thank you. A lot of y'all know, man, I am the leader of the True Spirit of Christ ministry. So every now and then I'll have my brothers and sisters from the church tap in with me and see what's going on. So for those of y'all that wonder why people will say happy Sabbath and shalom and all things of that nature, I got church fam in here showing love. So peace and blessings to all who are on. All right, Yasha Allah, the floor is back to you, sir.
Yeah, so because like I said, next year I'll start transitioning and start buying my dogs back once I get home, stuff like that. I've been doubling pinchers, so that's what I used to do before, and that would pay my lease when I had it or my mortgage when I had it. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Pay that, so I didn't have no worries because that's gonna take care of that, or take care of my car note. It's gonna take care of something, not
Yes,
no
sir.
little bill, but a big bill.
Yes,
You know what I mean? And it also, I tell people before, don't buy a home or lease a home or rent an apartment or whatever on both income. We do that as a people. I mean, if one start working or something happened, now you in a jam.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. There's a lot of risk that goes into it. You know, I would love for us to be able to chop it up a little bit more on this one, but I do need to be mindful of the time. Just, you know, just to make sure that I'm out of here before my Shabbat kicks in. But thank you as always, my brother, for chiming in and giving that great feedback. Thank you as always for the super chats. Greatly appreciated. For those of y'all that are on the central time zone with me or earlier, feel free to leave me a super chat, y'all. Feel free to chime in. Feel free to give a donation. Make sure that you tap that dollar icon directly below the live chat box. I'll definitely take those donations gladly for the next 20 minutes. After that, I'm out of here. Okay. Also, you can send donation via Cash App to $Blackman's Career or via PayPal. The links are in the description below. Thank you as always, my brother, for joining. Lord will see you soon. Now, one thing that I do want to point out to y'all that are just hopping on, tonight's topic is, should black men buy a home? I gave y'all in today's episode the benefits of buying a home, the benefits of renting, and how to decide which one you should choose. This is always, you know, a hot topic and a big debate. Should I be a homeowner? Why shouldn't I? When I opened the floor to ask people, hey, should black men buy a home? Everybody said a resounding yes. But a lot of people don't realize they end up getting themselves stuck in a certain place financially because they buy a home prematurely, and that has a way of making you lose money because of all of the money that you put into a property, where if you would have just taken more time to get out of debt and rent, you could have leveled up faster. So I'm a big proponent personally of own where you rent. Own what you rent and rent where you live. I'm a big proponent of, if you're going to take out a mortgage on a property, do that towards a property where somebody else is paying you to live there. So the reason why I keep talking about my investment property is because people are paying off the mortgage for me. I'm not putting my own money up towards the mortgage. My tenants are putting the money up towards the mortgage. When it comes to where I live, I'm reducing the cost in terms of renting. Okay. This was what I did previously before I got a rental property. And I'm able to stay here extremely cheap because I'm occupying a unit. Okay. For some of y'all that want to live somewhere for free, you could easily do that by just buying a multi family unit where you just live in one of the units, you rent out the other units, and then your tenants will pay for the property and you're staying there rent free. So again, this is another part of the game, y'all. It's all strategy. For those of y'all that are just joining, welcome. Make sure that you smash the like button. Please donate, y'all. Let's please get these super chats up, man. We need support. We need support. We need support. Y'all know I'm always grinding to give y'all the best content possible. Please make sure that you give back. I'm giving you right now 2 free stocks. All you have to do is click the link in the description. Okay. This channel is sponsored by Webull, one of the fastest growing financial brokerages throughout the world. On Webull, you can not only invest in stocks, but you can also invest in cryptocurrency. And Webull, just as a part of y'all being in this Black Men's Career family, they're giving y'all 2 free stocks as soon as you sign up. So link is in the comments below. One thing that Aman said is, brother, the thing is that these days it takes 2. Is not too many one income houses making it, but hey, absolutely. And this is another reason why it is wise to either rent and get your money up before buying a house, so that way you do have enough stability before taking on a home. Or secondly, like a lot of y'all, you could get into a venture with a lot of y'all's partners, man. You could get into a venture with a lot of y'all's partners at an early age, where you put in money together towards a multi-family unit, and then y'all could just live in that. Like at least one of y'all could just live out of that, give it to other tenants. And see, even the thing about it, even if you do that, even if every last one of y'all was to live in those different units, it still is a lot cheaper than you renting out an apartment, because you have the benefits of paying a low-cost mortgage, but you also pay a cheaper amount on renting out the property and paying your mortgage down, and you get appreciation, and you can end up taking the equity out of that property, getting another property so that you can start renting these out to other people over time. Shout out to my sister, Nikki P, none other than the Nicole P. House of Roe the Chef with the $10 super chat. Y'all know the House of Roe ain't so bad, man. I got to tell y'all, man, the House of Roe, they could really have their own reality show, but that's for another topic. You know, I want to get their whole family on the show one of these days, get them camming up. You know, let's start to ask Nikki P to start camming up, y'all, so y'all know who this is. Thank y'all so much for joining, as always. If y'all are going to super chat, please make the donation right now. It would be greatly appreciated. We about to hop up out of here. As always, I want to give y'all my free masterclass, the 3 keys to financial freedom. Okay, if y'all love what I give out on these shows, you definitely need to check this out. Thank you to my brother Chevis Watson for the $10 super chat. Thank y'all so much for the Sabbath donations. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Appreciate the love. Thank you, my brother. Peace to you, black man. Lord willing, I can see you tomorrow, man. You know, looking forward to seeing you and your household. Definitely looking forward to that. Okay, so on the next episode, which is going to be this Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Y'all know we do this show Sunday through Friday, almost every single day. I only take off on Saturdays. This Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time, we're going to talk about how to increase your net worth. Okay. I want to give you a game on how to level up in terms of your assets and building wealth. So make sure that you are on. Again, just make sure that if you have a business or something that you want to see promoted, send me an email at Uzziah at Black Men's Career, and I will give your business free promotion. I will be the plug. Just give me your website, give me the details, give me all the information on what you want me to promote, and I'll feel free to do that for you, all for free. This platform is not about me. It's about our community getting together, investing in each other, so that way we can all win, y'all. This is the reason why I do these shows. I could just take the knowledge that I have and I could go and win on my own. But the reason I do these shows is so that way I can show us how to do it. I try to show y'all how to go out and do it. So that way you're not just looking at me. Okay. I love y'all. I love my people. I love the culture. Please make sure that y'all give back, man. It's very important that we give back, because this is a show that I'm trying to pitch out there as positive Black male media that has improved people's lives. If y'all like what we're talking about here, then make sure that you donate. Tap that dollar icon directly below. Bring forth a super chat. Your donation will make you a sponsor on this show, and I will shout you out on these episodes. If you rather use Cash App, $ Black Men's Career. If you're just now joining, welcome. Smash the like button. We've been talking leading up to this point about, should Black men buy a home? Just rewind it to the very beginning, watch it. There's a ton of information in here, a ton of knowledge to get you to the next level. If you have any show ideas, things that you want me to talk about on a future episode, send me an email at Uzziah at blackmenscareer.com. If you want to know how to get right with your business, if you want to know how to get right with your money, if you want to know how to get right with finding your next position in your career path, let me know. Send me an email and I'll talk about it on a future episode. All right. I love y'all. I pray for y'all. Y'all continue to pray for me. And I will see you this Sunday, Lord willing. Keep pushing.